Today, we're going to be talking about life as we see it. As usual, it's a no holds barred conversation, no airs around us. We're talking about everything and anything that relates to how we live, how we can improve our daily lives, and our decisions, as the case may be. Today, I have a special guest in the house, someone who's got over 20 years of human resource experience across diverse industries. Ladies and gentlemen, the Life Class with Charles welcomes Kunbi Adeoti. You're welcome to the Life Class with Charles.
Thank you very much, Charles, and thank you everyone for having me.
Excellent. Now, this is streamed across all the social networks: Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and uh, YouTube as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, let us know where you're dialing in from or where you're chatting from. Just send in a message, say, this is where I'm coming in from, this is where I'm chatting from, and let us know how you relate to each and every one of the conversations we would have today. It is completely interactive. You can ask questions, make some observations, or contributions. Now, Kumbi, I am really, really pleased to have you with us today. And I'd like you to tell us a little bit about yourself. Everyone wants to know.
Okay, so I I am a believer first and foremost. I I am an HR practitioner, as you have said it. I currently I work with Leadway. Married with three ladies, married to Kayode Adeoti. Um, and I this is me. My belief in life is to enable people become who they are destined to be. I believe that I'm that bridge, I'm that connection, and by the time I talk to you, certain things will shift in your mind and in your spirit that enables you to become the person that you are created to be. So I would say I'm a transformation agent. Um, I I use the giftings and talents that I'm endowed with to make people I come in contact with, organizations that I have um, relations with, to become a better version of themselves. I believe that we are all work in progress, and a better version of you should emerge each day. Each day, I believe that you have experiences. Those experiences are not necessarily to tear you down. They are for the formation of character for the person you are to be. And it is because you require that character for the future that is ahead of you. So things happen in time and season to the extent that we require them. They mold us, they shape us for who we are meant to be. However, what makes the difference is your choice towards those things when they happen. Thank you.
Wow, wow. Your choice, how you respond to them. Ladies
Yes.
and gentlemen, she's a transformation agent. So if you want to shift, I often say, do you need to change or do you need things to change? That's one of the most important questions we should ask. And so if you need to change or you need things to change, all you need to do is listen in today and find what areas that require adjustment or what areas you need to make adjustments. So, ladies and gentlemen, today's topic is the Bile, and in the moment, I'm going to be reading the life class to every one of us and our hearing. All right. The Bile. There is a bile inside every animal. All butchers know this. It is small but mighty. Once the bile bursts, the entire meat is ruined with irreparable bitterness. I think that the bile carries some important messages. You cannot eat everything. You cannot say everything. You cannot fight every fight. You cannot profit from every deal. Discretion is the better part of valor. If you insist on eating, saying, fighting, and profiting from everything, you may lose everything for nothing. The tiny bile hangs unassuming, waiting to damage everything for the careless and the carefree. Be calculating, be careful, take it out with tact, and leave it out in fact. It is inside the meat, but it is not to be eaten. The bile. Life class with chickens. All right. Just listening to me read this life class, what was going through your mind?
In life, one requires discernment and discretion in everyday life. You remember I mentioned choice.
Right.
We do not control what happens to us, but we will always have power over how we react to what happens to us. And that is where discernment and discretion comes in. Because in applying discernment and discretion, you are able to live your life within the walls of wisdom and knowledge. And you save yourself multitude of sorrows. When you have the right knowledge, you talked about the being in a meat. And I remember as a kid, when chicken is just killed and you're told to go and remove the feathers, and you're told to, you know, um, cut it out and all of that. You will hear your mother screaming, don't let that green thing, don't cut that green thing, don't cut that green thing. You know, the first thing is don't cut that green thing. Don't let the knife cut it. That is, you have knowledge that this thing is a green thing that is bitter.
Right. Okay.
So, in all you're getting, knowledge is important. But even if you now know that it is bitter, how do you not cut it? Application of the knowledge is wisdom. Wisdom tells you how to navigate the knife.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry.
And that is where you begin to apply discretion because you then know you maneuver. Because even the pointed tip of the edge of the knife, if you are not careful, will touch it.
That's
And
right.
it's the same thing with everyday life. There are things that we see necessarily, But if you do not have knowledge about them, that's one trouble. If you have knowledge and you don't have wisdom, that is another trouble. And when you apply wisdom, you apply it with discretion.
Hmm.
All of these are a function of choice at the end of the day. Because even when your mother was telling you, don't let it, what if I just do it? It's still a function of choice. And you then use that, and then you try it, and you find out that guy eats the chicken, but you've learnt the hard way. So when I said it will save you multitude of sorrow,
Right.
imagine it is bitter chicken. You wasted money, you wasted time, and you are not able to eat at the end of the day.
Yes.
Why go through that trouble? Wisdom, knowledge, and discretion would have saved you. And in everyday life,
Hmm.
there are bile situations. You must have the capacity to recognize, which is where knowledge comes in. And when you recognize, what do you do about the recognition? The steps you make take are a function of your choices.
Hmm. Wow.
After
Tr-
all, the choices we made yesterday is the life that we are playing out today.
True that. True. 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 Just listening to you, I'm hearing you talk about knowledge, wisdom, discretion. So, as far as bials are concerned, knowledge, you need to know, wisdom, you need to apply, discretion. It seems like the middle ground. When you say discretion, it means that even in wisdom, there's a way to a moment and a style to the application of the wisdom.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Someone's listening in right now and is wondering, let's talk about one of the lines that says, you can't profit from every deal. People say, what's in it for me in different areas of life? How would you speak to this particular sensitive area? You can't profit from every deal.
Okay. So I think defining profit in this sense, I will be very philosophical about it. I will not look at profit as everyday thing the way people define profit.
Okay.
Because I know everything you do, as long as you think of value, value comes back to you. Difference is it is not necessarily cash. So even what you are defining as profit may not be cash. Value comes back to you in different ways. And again, it is for the discerning to know and understand it when it comes. So I see that very statement in a very, very different way. So you get into deals, and maybe we should define deal. I see partnerships
Sure.
as deals,
Okay.
but there are partnerships that you are in, and those partnerships they are enablers for you.
That's right.
They are enablers for you. And when something is enabling you, it is not necessarily about immediate cash value. They provide platforms, open doors to where you will never have imagined you would be. And that is why I spoke about value. Because again, the kind of value those platforms, those doors that are opened would give back to you may launch you into a different realm of life altogether. So I would always say for every partnership you get into it with integrity, focus, and and that strength to bring value to the other person. What comes out at the end of the day is like planting a seed. When you see a seed, it means nothing to you. However, down the year, especially things like an oak tree, what it becomes and the shade it will provide for others. At the time when it was a seed, you are not able to see into the future of what the size of that oak will become. And that is how I see it. That's how I choose to approach it. And I always tell people every day is a seed, sow with caution.
Take that again. Every day is a seed. So with what?
Caution.
Every day is a seed. Sow with caution. Powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the live class with Charles. Don't forget, send in your messages. Make sure that you're not left behind. If you want to send in a message by WhatsApp, the number is 0901 500 2661. 0901 500 2661. You can call in to ask your questions, make your observations, or make your contributions. Now, Kumbi, you said something very powerful. As far as the Bile is concerned, I hear you talk about patience when you related it to the oak tree.
Yes. Yeah.
Can you walk us through areas in life where you see how patience has paid off when taking out the Bile?
That is tough. That is tough. Okay. I mean, I've had a number of experiences, um, and I will try to talk about one or two. This had to do with my own career.
Right.
I I I had I had a time when I went through um, redundancies. Um, the circumstances at those times were not necessarily exciting, especially when it is not that you know, but that you also have evidence of A-rated performance. Although redundancies has nothing to do with performance, but there were a number of questionable circumstances, and that would help you kick in your faith that why is this happening? Benefit of hindsight today, I am more than grateful that that happened. Remember, I talked about enablers.
Yes.
There are probably people on your journey that you have never given a second thought to. And this is one prayer that you must consistently pray. You know, I also mentioned recognition
Yes.
and discretion. You must ask God to help you to recognize who your enablers are, who your multipliers are, who your door openers are, and embrace that journey as you go. You can imagine if Joseph kicked very hard against his brothers, he probably will never become that prime minister. So at times, what is ahead of you is so huge. You go through life circumstances that are so bitter,
That's right.
but you must choose and navigate. So I had an option at the time to be bitter, to be, but it was also time to set back. I mentioned taking the knife, seeking
Yes.
knowledge, and it was that time for me. It was also a time of character formation. It was also I probably would not be where I am today. I probably would not have been today. So it was a necessary part of my journey. So I had the bile. Or was I going to take on that bile and become a bitter person? No, because you have that choice. Bitterness eats you, it sets you back, it rents space in your head, kills your emotion, and unfortunately, what comes out of you is also bitter to the people around you. The implication is the favor and the mercy that you should enjoy. The smell of bitterness, the aura of bitterness will chase away your enablers, your multipliers, and the people that you require. The same way you're not able to eat chicken. So, of what value will it be if I choose that bitterness? So I had to choose a place of joy, a place of praise, and that takes a lot of patience. I had to step back out of the situation and find a path to ask, what are the key lessons? What am I supposed to be doing at this time? Remember, I talked about seeking knowledge.
That's right.
And what is it in my time at this time that I require for what is ahead? Also, it was a time of focusing on what is my vision. The Bible talks about writing, making plain, and how do you get into a space where the word seeps into you, where you look at resources around you. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he.
So
It is
that's correct.
what you sort of take and begin to think appropriately. So if I was soaking in bitterness, I become a bitter person. If I was soaking joy, I become joyful person. It is what you think and the visioning that you have that you attract. And the resources around you begin to shape and move into it's like a pieces of puzzle. They begin to shape and make happen, and everyone you require for that piece appear to make it complete. And that has been my experience. So I have seen it, and I know when life begins to happen to you, choose with discretion. Step back. Don't ensue bitterness, because at the end it is of no value. Always remember that chicken when the bile pours into it that is of no value. And if you're going to be a person of value, everybody wants joy. So you have to allow the fountain inside of you to well. You have to speak to yourself like David, and say, David encouraged himself. So you've got to find courage back, take the well of joy and the fountain of joy. And guess what? Everything around you will align. You will see the enablers, you will see the multipliers, and guess what? Your vision even becomes clear because bitterness blurs vision.
Wow.
Bitterness blurs vision. You become an emotional wreck. No one wants to be around you. How then do you navigate in that kind of situation? So you even do yourself a disfavor when you stay in a position of bitterness. Bitterness.
Powerful. Bitterness blurs vision. Now,
Absolutely.
this is really incredible what you're sharing with us, because just listening to you, I can hear you talk about enablers. I can hear you talk about multipliers. I can hear you talk about door openers. It seems to me that when we really look at it, the bile is a bad hidden in a good.
You can say that.
You know, so so enablers are good people, multipliers are good people, door openers are good people. Am I correct?
Absolutely.
Now, tell us, walk us through enablers, right? Um, who are enablers and what could go wrong in that kind of relationship? What's the bile when dealing with enablers?
Okay. So I've forgotten half of my biology, but I will try. If you look at the location of even the bile, it's surrounded by some other organs. Those organs help you to function. Yeah.
Right?
In life, you are surrounded by people. There are people you meet that you do not take cognizance of them. Remember, I mentioned recognition.
Right.
Recognition is not just by sight, it also means sharpening of your intuition.
Okay.
There are people you will come in contact with, and it is only once that you will meet them. They are in your
Wow.
life for that purpose and time. After that, you may not even come across them again. They may be colleagues that you've met in your workplace, university, say it, social gatherings that you have been. It's just like the Enoch
Hmm.
that met with, and it was just that once event.
Right.
It's the same thing. There are people that all you have to do is, oh, I'm thinking of this, and I would love to accomplish this. And the person says to you, oh, I actually have somebody who wants to, and they connect you. And it may just not be anything, but that connection takes you to a different platform. You may not even be able to reach out to them to say thank you again for that other day. There are people you get into public transport with, you have a conversation and give you a card. And you try to call them, they say send me chat. And you say, oh, okay, based on this conversation, they just send you a phone number. And that is it. So those people just come into your life for a season. They make what you are looking for, they cause an appearance for it, they short circuit your journey such that it is accelerated, and that is it. They just make things happen for you. The multipliers, people who come into your life and you just find out that everything around you begins to change. It's like putting you in a place of with fertilizers around you. There are people who have certain nannies. The way they bless them and make their life easy is incredible. There are colleagues that you come in contact with. What they do for you makes your life become something else. They give you certain suggestions, and those suggestions become so big that you begin to look at it that, is this me? How did I get there? Multipliers do that for you. Your your door openers are people who are probably in higher positions than you are. They just walk through the door and they say, follow me. And you begin to enjoy You begin to have accesses that are beyond you. But if that door doesn't open, you are shut away from the things that will make your life take it to a different level. Now, your role as an individual is
Mhm.
to have both the outer vision and the inner vision to be able to identify them. They are around you. But if you are in a state where you give room more to the buyer and you do not think of the surrounding others, you will not even see them.
Hmm. Wow. Wow. Now, the last sentence you just made triggered all kinds of emotions, especially because you told us when you started sharing this that the bile is right in the midst of different organs. Are you trying to share with us and teach us in this live class that if you're thinking about yourself alone, you're going to rupture?
Have you ever seen where a single tree makes a forest?
Never happens.
So if you, because what we've said, bitterness focuses on you. You think everything is directed at you. It is all about you. If you do not begin to think outside of yourself, you are in a stagnated position. Remember, I said it blurs vision. You can't move
Yes.
forward. You cannot. It paralyzes. That's the best word. And when you are paralyzed and vision is blurred, how do you see the enabler? How do you see the multiplier? How do you even recognize? Because your inner vision is dead, it's focused on just me, myself, and I. And you are wallowing in a pool of emotion that is not serving you. In any case, we are not created to serve ourselves. Our joy is complete when we serve others.
Hmm. Hmm. What a word. We were not created to serve ourselves. Our joy is complete when we serve other people. So if you're serving yourself, there's some joy, but just that it's half full or it's not complete. Now, in context, I'm finding this really interesting, especially when you say that bitterness focuses on yourself. It's all about you. The world is against me. They don't like me. They don't care for me. They don't look out for me. No one is interested in me. No one will help me. No one will support me. And it blurs vision. But is it possible that because you are bitter, the person rubs off on the wrong side of other people?
Yes, I did mention that. I said, you know that the same way the ball, if you pause on everything else, you can't touch it. Is if you're bitter, or you don't realize it, but what comes out of you. And you know, I said, as a man thinketh, so is he. You begin to act in bitter ways. You begin to give an aura that is a stench. Nobody wants to be around anybody who is perpetually sad, who is perpetually ranting, who is perpetually, everything you see is negative. You give what we call in coaching a negative energy. Nobody needs a negative energy. The world is already too negative. We all are seeking a place of calm, quiet, and peace. And so, if consistently what comes out of you is a negative energy, people will move away. They, they don't want to associate with what is negative. And it's the same attitude that it becomes a blocker for your enabler, for your dog opener, for your, you won't even see them. They won't even come near you. Even if they see you, they walk because that energy is not what they want. It's not serving anybody. That is why I said it is a stagnating emotion.
A stagnating emotion. And again, one of the things that have come out of this conversation are these tripartite people. The enabler makes things easy for you.
Yeah.
The multiplier increases you.
Yes.
The door opener gives you access. Now, can you share an experience where people are listening from all over the world and relating to these stories about who the enabler, the door opener, or the multiplier is? A situation where you saw the bad, but you were able to manage the good in such a way that it did not matter that even the bad existed.
Can you take that? Let me reprocess it.
Okay. We have established that there is the bad is often hidden in the good, and that's
Yes.
the bad.
Yes.
We have also found it enlightening that in as far as relating with people is concerned, there is the enabler, the multiplier, and the door opener. So these are all good people.
Yeah.
However, in each of them is a bile. So, would you like to share an experience? Have you ever encountered an experience or seen it happen even to others? How they were able to maximize the good without the bad adulterating it?
To be honest, none comes to mind right now, and I'm trying to really um, 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 think think of it, But I know I have a number of friends who have been through life challenges. Um, I've seen where people focus on the bad, and what sort of happened is the life went on a downright spiral. The more because it starts to influence the decisions you make, and you lose accuracy of decisions, and those decisions lead to even worse situations and circumstances. Whereas for um, even the other people who have been through circumstances who choose to focus on the good, you begin to see that it is easier for them to navigate out of the bad situation because they were able to focus on the good. And um, you find that increasingly the good increased and the bad paled out to oblivion. So whilst I can't immediately give um, responses now, but I have seen this again and again and again. So I am not saying that, I mean, when we go through life and things happen to us, please, by all means, um, it's like when you fall down, you would shout, you would scream, you will
Right,
feel the pain, but you don't stay on the
right.
floor and wait till tomorrow, wait till the day after. You just get up, you fix the injury, and you move on. And the next time you already know what that spot is, you already know what that circumstance is, you can recognize, and then you can navigate because now you're applying the wisdom and the knowledge because of what you've been through. So if you won't do that when you fall down physically, why would you do that when life throw things at you and you choose perpetually that same state and you do not address that state? So staying in that state keeps you stagnated. It's simple. It's like you fall down, no motion. And now when you pick yourself up and you rise, you will be surprised. In fact, well, as soon as you choose to rise, you find people stretching hands to help you up. Those are your enablers. And when you are up, the ones who will quickly look around and make things happen for you will begin to make things happen for you.
Hmm. Now, um, Kumbi, you have 20 years experience in human resource management. You you're the chief people experience officer in your organization. You're managing a diverse group of professionals. How are you able to convince professionals working under you to focus on the good in an organization when they have their own complaints or they have spotted some gaps? Because no organization is perfect. How do you ever experience that to start with?
Anyway, you have to deal with human beings. You will always have all manner of things, all manner, all manner. Um, so uh, it's not just about convincing; it's about creating experiences for people. And when you create experience for people, um, people share their experience. They talk more about it rather than what you tell them. Um, you would always have people who would have certain mindsets. However, when you have people who choose to believe and who choose to um, have their circumstances. You step in into those circumstances and you fix it. It's not only that you fix it, you empathize and you provide the tools and the platforms that the organization has, the channels that the organization has made available, that they are probably not even unaware. Unaware not because you're not telling them, but simply because their mind has not focused on it. They've never had a need for it. So they never even thought it was possible or available, even when you are saying it. However, when people then have certain experiences that require those platforms and they engage those platforms, they come back and then they then become the advocate. So you shift away from telling, you move to creating experience that make people become advocates. And that is basically it.
Wow. When you were saying this now, it just made me begin to reflect on the things that happen in the workplace. What are the Because the Bible is so unassuming, small but mighty, right? What are the common mistakes professionals have seen professionals make that has ruined their careers?
So what for me, if in my experience, people create too many assumptions. We like they said,
Hmm.
I would say to you, before you make any assumptions, why not walk up to the appropriate channel and find out what is available to you and what can be done for you? I've seen this too many times where people injure themselves without asking. Um, there's always humanity first. There's always a sense of care. When the organization took you in, the organization did not take you in because they wanted you destroyed. It was meant for mutual benefit. We believe in you and you believe in us. And if we put together the powers behind both of us, we can come out with something great. But events do happen along the channel. The question is what platforms are available as support for me as I go through life challenges, like we said. And when you find those things, apply the wisdom, don't work on assumptions, seek knowledge, like I said, ask. In the multitude of counsel, there is safety. So don't just focus on what you think you know. Find out what the facts and the realities are and seek support in the appropriate places. That would be my advice, my counsel.
Hmm. So, in answering these two questions now, I see you emphasize two things. The first is empathy and then
Yeah.
information. All right.
Yes.
So that, if you want to navigate through the bile in the workplace, or you want to deal with people who say there's something wrong with this workplace, etc., empathize with them, give them information. Common mistakes professionals make in the workplace that can ruin their careers is assumption. Now, Norman Vincent Peale is credited to have said, I have never met a person I didn't like. Do you think that's even possible?
Remember, we spoke about choices.
Right.
That's a function of choice. If I choose that every person that I meet, I will see good in them, that has become a personal philosophy for me. So, irrespective of how you show up, I have chosen that I will see good in you. And to that extent, I won't look at whatever I see in surface value. I begin to look for that good. So it is not impossible. It is a function of choice and it is a function of personal value. And that takes me to what do you place as your value? How do you see people around you? A means to an end, or someone coming, or people are, they hold value, and your role is to get the best of value in them till they become the person they are meant to be.
Hmm. Powerful. Now, someone has sent in a question about toxic bosses. This is, it says, what if my boss does not see anything good in what I do? How do I handle such a boss?
My question to you would be to step back and evaluate yourself. There's a Yoruba adage that says if you point one finger, the others are pointing at you. So I start with myself.
Hmm.
One, what am I presenting? How am I presenting it? Because, I can look at you, Charles, and I say, sorry. And I can look at you and say, sorry. Oh." And I can look at you, sorry. Do you know I've said sorry in three different ways?
Yes.
And this is life. You need to set back first and understand what does value mean to my boss before you land at that conclusion. Uh, Except he's a very weird human being, this person can't be all 24 hours, 365 days, be
Right.
totally off. What are the mood triggers? What happens? There must be somebody. I mean, except it's a moving train that is going to crash. There must be somebody this person differs to. So you need to understand the purpose, what matters, what is the atmosphere, how are you presenting. There are many things to evaluate before you get to that kind of conclusion. And if generally you think that the atmosphere is wrong, remember I spoke about values. What are your own values? How did you evaluate the values of
Right.
that organization before you joined that? So if there's a misalignment and you can't seem to find alignment, then it may be time for you to begin to seek other opportunities. Remember that you are a human being, you are not a tree. You have choices.
Remember that you're a human being, you're not a tree, you have choices. But perhaps one of the most powerful things that you have said in answer to this question is that when a person feels this way, he or she should look within. What does my boss value? Before you say he doesn't value me, what does he value? And can I find the alignment between what he values and what I'm ready to offer? And if you can't, then remember you're not a tree. Now,
Absolutely.
reading through the life class, ladies and gentlemen, this is the life class with Charles. Questions, contributions, and observations you can share. I can see um, all the channels are blinking on LinkedIn. Pat here is reiterating what you said, says that every day is a seed, sow with caution. You know, Amakri says, sow with caution, every day is a seed. That was a very powerful quote. Pat comes back to say, bitterness blurs one's vision. So people are reporting the things that you have shared with us, and especially how it resonates with them.
Hmm. Thank you.
I want to ask the bad, the good and the bad. Keep the bad. While you enjoy the good, be careful not to ruin it with the bad. What is it that you would have shared with us that hasn't yet come out of you as far as the bile is concerned?
Um, the fact that the ball exists, recognize it.
Okay?
The fact that you have choices, recognize it.
Okay?
Be adept at your choices because that determines what you do with the ball. You can turn around that situation when you choose your approach to every circumstance. Every circumstance in life is like day and night. There will be
Mm,
night seasons of life, there will be day season. The night season never lasts for a lifetime. So, whatever you are going through, go through it, take the lessons, but don't let it mar you. You will always have that choice.
wow. Whatever you're going through, go through it. Just reminds me of the words of Ron Kennedy. He said, if you catch hell, don't hold it. And if you're going through hell, don't stop. Thank you so much, Kumi. I can't thank you enough for the contributions. But I'm going to come back and give the credits in a moment. I will read the live class again, and then I will return for a parting shot. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the live class with Charles. The bile. There is a bile inside every animal. All butchers know this. It is small but mighty. Once the bile bursts, the entire meat is ruined with irreparable bitterness. I think that the bile carries some important messages. You cannot eat everything. You cannot say everything. You cannot fight every fight. You cannot profit from every deal. Discretion is the better part of valor. If you insist on eating, saying, fighting, and profiting from everything, you may lose everything for nothing. The tiny bile hangs unassuming, waiting to damage everything for the careless and the carefree. Be calculated, be careful, take it out with tact and leave it out. In fact, it's inside the meat, but it is not to be eaten. The bile, life class with Charles. All right. I want to thank you so much for doing us the honors of coming to share your life and your experiences with several people on today's show. Um, some people needed to be sharpened, some people needed to be strengthened, and some people needed empathy, while some just needed to be informed. And in all your responses today, you've made a sincere effort to reach out to everyone. Thank you so much for doing us that.
Thank you for having me.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you all for tuning in. All those who sent in questions, Daniel, Israel, those who tuned in, sent in quotes, rehearsing the things we shared, Pat, Amakri. Thank you so much for logging on. Thank you for sharing your conversations and your questions. If you send any further questions, I'm happy to share it with our guest and tag her, and she'll come back and offline send our responses. But it's been a great evening, and I ask that in all you're doing, just know that the life class is designed for you to be the best, the very best. Bye for now.